Thinking of building a beautiful, self-sustaining terrarium? Before you add a single plant, you need to know why most terrariums turn into a foggy, moldy swamp within a month. It's almost always because of a few simple, avoidable mistakes. The single biggest error is overwatering. Roots rot. Fungus thrives. This guide prevents that heartbreak. We'll show the precise steps to create a balanced, living work of art that endures. We'll build from the bottom up. Every layer serves a purpose. Welcome to Don't Do This Guide, the channel that shows you how to succeed by learning from the most common gardening failures. In this video, we're breaking down the right way to build a terrarium so it thrives for years. And if you love gardening tips that get straight to the point, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. The first decision you must make is the most fundamental, as it dictates everything that follows, which is the type of container. A terrarium is, at its core, a small glass world. Whether open or sealed, changes its entire climate. A sealed container traps moisture. Jar with a tight-fitting lid, bottle with a cork. This creates a miniature water cycle inside the glass. Water evaporates from the soil and plant leaves, condenses on the cool glass walls, trickles back down to the soil, creating a self-watering system that requires almost no intervention from you. This high-humidity environment is perfect for certain types of plants, but it is a death sentence for others. Sealed terrariums are ideal for species that love damp conditions and low light, mosses, ferns, many tropical foliage plants. However, the enclosed nature means they are vulnerable to overwatering and poor air circulation, which can quickly lead to fungal growth and rot. If you dream of a lush, mossy woodland scene, a sealed vessel is the correct choice. Just be prepared to manage its moisture level with extreme care, especially in the beginning. In contrast, an open container allows for constant air exchange with the surrounding room. Fishbowl, wide-mouthed vase, simple glass dish. This means moisture evaporates freely, and the internal environment remains much drier. They are the perfect home for plants that prefer arid conditions, bright light, and good airflow. Succulents, cacti, various air plants that would quickly rot in a sealed jar. Many beginners, eager to get to the planting stage, make the critical mistake of putting soil directly onto the glass bottom. Unlike a standard plant pot, a glass terrarium has no drainage hole, meaning any excess water has nowhere to escape. It will pool at the bottom, saturating the soil and creating a swampy, anaerobic environment. Plant roots sitting in this stagnant water will be deprived of oxygen and will inevitably begin to rot. Root rot is the #1 killer of terrarium plants, and it starts with this foundational error. To prevent this, you must create a dedicated drainage layer at the very bottom of your container. This layer acts as a reservoir, holding excess water away from the soil and the plant roots. Use materials like small stones, leca, lightweight expanded clay aggregate, river pebbles, decorative recycled glass chips. The goal is to create a void space where water can collect safely. For a medium-sized jar, a layer of about 1 to 2 inches is generally sufficient. This simple step provides a crucial buffer, giving your plants a fighting chance even if you accidentally add a little too much water. Following this, it is highly recommended to add a very thin layer of activated charcoal on top of the stones. The charcoal is not for drainage but for filtration. It acts like a natural purifier, helping to absorb impurities, filter the water that passes through, and reduce the risk of unpleasant odors developing in the damp, enclosed environment over time. After carefully creating your drainage and charcoal layers, there is one small but vital step that many people forget: installing a barrier. This barrier is a thin, permeable membrane that sits directly on top of your drainage layer, separating it from the soil you will add next. It prevents fine soil particles from migrating down and mixing with the stones. Without it, every time you water, soil will wash down into the drainage reservoir, turning it into a muddy mess and defeating the reservoir's purpose. The barrier must let water pass but keep soil contained. A piece of landscape fabric cut to size is a professional choice. Alternatively, a standard coffee filter works perfectly well for smaller terrariums. You can also use a piece of fine mesh screen, like the kind used for window repairs, or even a layer of sphagnum moss. Cut the material to the exact diameter so it rests snugly against the glass with no gaps. With the barrier in place, water trickles through soil, passes the membrane, and collects cleanly below. The soil stays put, the water remains clear, and roots don't sit in mud. The tidy, distinct layers are also more attractive through the glass. Skipping this step is a common shortcut that leads to long-term problems. Think of the barrier as the gatekeeper of your terrarium's foundation. It keeps the charcoal filtering and the drainage layer holding water properly. Now that your foundation is properly set, it is time to add the growing medium. Herein lies another common pitfall, reaching for a standard bag of all-purpose potting mix. While excellent for many houseplants in traditional pots, this type of soil is often too dense and water-retentive for the unique environment of a terrarium, especially a sealed one. Standard potting mixes are designed to hold moisture for plants in pots with drainage holes, where excess water can escape. In a closed terrarium, that same moisture-holding capacity becomes a liability, leading to compacted, waterlogged soil that promotes root rot and mold. Instead, you must create a custom soil blend that is lighter, better draining, and more resistant to compaction. A fantastic and simple recipe is to start with a quality potting soil as a base, and then amend it heavily. 2 parts potting soil. 1 part perlite or pumice for aeration. 1 part orchid bark or fine horticultural sand for improved structure and drainage. This creates a mix that is both nourishing and breathable. For open terrariums housing succulents or cacti, the soil requirements are even more specific. These desert plants demand extremely sharp drainage and cannot tolerate sitting in wet soil. Use a commercially available cactus and succulent mix, or create your own by mixing 1 part potting soil with 2 parts drainage material. Coarse sand, pumice, fine gravel. Never use soil from your garden as it is too heavy, compacts easily, and may contain pests or pathogens. Aim for a soil depth of around 2 to 3 inches, then gently spoon it in and do not pack it down. The single most important rule for selecting terrarium plants is this: they must all have the same requirements for light, water, and humidity. This is where many beautiful terrariums fail. A creator might choose plants based on appearance alone, pairing a moisture-loving fern with a drought-loving succulent. Such a combination is doomed from the start. You are building a community, and its members must coexist under the same environmental conditions. For a classic sealed terrarium, choose plants that thrive in high humidity and low to medium indirect light. Maidenhair fern, cushion moss, sheet moss, Fittonia, Pilea depressa, small peperomia. Always check the plant tags for their light and water needs to confirm they are a good fit for a closed system. For an open terrarium, your plant selection will be entirely different. Here you should focus on species that prefer bright light, dry conditions, and good air circulation. This is the domain of succulents and cacti. Echeveria, Haworthia, sedum, string of pearls, string of bananas. Beyond matching needs, consider growth habits. Opt for slow-growing or dwarf varieties. Fast-growing plants will outgrow the space and overwhelm neighbors. A well-designed terrarium maintains its scale and composition for a long time. With your container prepared and plants selected, the creative part begins, planting and scaping your miniature world. Before placing any plants, take a moment to plan your design. Place taller plants towards the back of the container. Place shorter, ground-covering plants in the front. This creates a sense of depth and keeps every plant visible. Create small hills and valleys with the soil for a dynamic landscape. Visualize the final look before you start digging. For small or narrow-necked containers, long tools are your best friends. A pair of long tweezers, perfect for narrow mouths, terrarium tongs for reaching tight spots, a small spoon for digging, a chopstick to nudge soil around roots. Start by creating a small pocket in the soil for your first plant. Carefully remove the plant from its nursery pot. Gently tease away some of the old soil to expose the roots. Lower the plant into the hole. Use your tool to gently push new soil around the base. Cover roots, but don't pack the soil too tightly. After the main plants are placed, add decorative elements, hardscaping. Small rocks can become boulders. Pieces of driftwood simulate fallen logs. A layer of moss creates a lush green carpet. These elements add texture, scale, and realism. But be careful not to overcrowd the terrarium. Leave space for plants to grow and for air to circulate. A few well-placed items are more effective than clutter. Once everything is in place, your final pre-watering step is to clean up. Use a small, soft brush to dust soil off leaves and rocks. Use a cloth-wrapped stick to wipe smudges from the inside of the glass. This final tidying makes a big difference. A clean, polished miniature world. Watering is the moment of truth for a terrarium. Most beginners get this wrong. The golden rule for a sealed terrarium: less is better. It's far easier to add a little water to a dry terrarium than it is to remove water from a swampy one. For a sealed terrarium, add just enough water once during planting. After that, the system should sustain itself. Use a spray bottle to lightly mist the soil and plants. Or use a syringe to add precise drops around each base. Or use a pipette to place tiny amounts exactly where needed. After this initial watering, seal the container and observe. Over the next day or two, you should see condensation on the glass, especially in the morning and in the evening as temperatures change. That condensation means the internal water cycle is working. If the glass is constantly thick with fog and large droplets run down, you've added too much water. In that case, remove the lid for a few hours or remove it for a full day to let excess moisture evaporate. The ideal is a bit of morning fog that clears by midday. For open terrariums with succulents and cacti, the strategy is different but still requires restraint. These plants are adapted to a soak and dry cycle. Water them thoroughly, but infrequently. Wait until the soil is completely dry to the touch. Then give it enough water so the soil is evenly moist. Use a narrow spout watering can to direct water to the soil. Or use a syringe to avoid soaking the leaves, which can cause rot. Then don't water again until the soil fully dries. This could be every few weeks depending on your home's conditions. Never water on a fixed schedule like once a week. Always check the conditions first. Once your terrarium is built and watered, finding the perfect spot for it is the final key to its long-term health. Light is the energy source for your miniature ecosystem, but the wrong kind of light can be destructive. Most plants suitable for sealed terrariums prefer bright, indirect light: ferns, mosses, phytonias. Placing a sealed glass container in direct sunlight is a critical error. The glass will act like a greenhouse, trapping heat, and it can magnify the sun's rays, quickly cooking and scorching plants. An ideal location is a few feet away from a window, or on a north-facing windowsill, or on an east-facing windowsill with gentle morning light. For open terrariums with succulents and cacti, the light needs are the opposite. These sun-loving plants need several hours of bright, direct light each day to stay compact and keep vibrant colors. A south-facing windowsill is often perfect for a succulent terrarium. A west-facing windowsill is often perfect for a succulent terrarium. If you notice succulents stretching and turning pale, move them to a sunnier location. Matching location to your plant's light needs is non-negotiable. Long-term care is minimal, but it does require occasional attention. Periodically inspect for dead or yellowing leaves, prune with long scissors, or remove with tweezers. This keeps things tidy and prevents decay that can cause mold or disease. If you spot a small patch of mold, remove the affected material, then leave the lid off for a day to improve airflow and let it dry. Keep your view clear by cleaning the glass occasionally. Use a lint-free cloth to wipe the outside, and a cloth on a stick to clean the inside. Prune plants that outgrow the space to maintain scale. If a plant dies, remove it promptly to prevent rot from spreading. And there you have it. Building a thriving terrarium isn't about luck. It's about avoiding those simple, critical mistakes. Now you know how to build a beautiful miniature world that will last. If you found this guide valuable, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more Don't Do This gardening tips. Let me know in the comments what kind of terrarium you're planning to build.